So they call it at the retail, at the consumer level, when you interact with a bottle, you're either interacting with it in a bar or a retail store. And they call the bar location, they call that on premise because you're drinking it there on site. And then they call all the retail liquor stores off premise because you are taking the bottle to drink somewhere else. And then in the last 2 years, because of COVID, there has been this new development of what some people are calling the e-premise or direct to consumer, where you go on our website, you can shop for a bottle, you buy the bottle ostensibly from me, the supplier, but what really happens in the background is a whole bunch of pass-throughs to make sure that we're compliant with the 3-tier system. So you could either go to my website and buy it, to a liquor store and buy it, or to a bar and order it as a cocktail.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you don't end up getting to, like, if you get to where you're like, I'm ready. Are you selling these yet? Or
I'm
you're
trying. So
okay?
I've got commitments. Actually, a big success for us, just me personally, last week was I got approved into Total Wine.
Okay.
There are 6 stores down here in South Florida that that are committed to ordering it, and they've approved it as a product for the shelf, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We've already got in-store tasting scheduled and everything like that. But the hurdle I'm facing, and I was literally facing today, is in order to get it on that shelf, I need that middle piece. I need that second tier, the distributor.
Right.
And
That's what I was wondering about. If you get to a point where you're like, I just want to do it. Like, I just want to go ahead and do it. Like, because something similar has been happening or did happen with the music industry, like in the past, I'd say 20 years, since streaming and since recording at home has become so easy. The barrier for entry is much lower now than it used to be. And so artists have been able to kind of cut out that middle person and do it
producers,
on their own. So now that you've got a website where people can order it, companies could order it. Maybe you could put a section in there that's you price it as like, if you want to buy like, I don't know, 100 bottles. I don't know how much is normal. Then you can get it at this price per bottle or whatever. Is that something that you're thinking about? Like, in case you need experience to come and get experience with us, in case that kind of thing keeps happening? Are you just like, we're just going to try to jump in here?
And this is what my husband was joking about with me as I'm working my way through this project or this problem. He said, he's an entrepreneur as well,
Mm-hmm.
a different consulting, totally different world. But I had gotten the liquid in the bottle in cases ready to go. And he's like, you thought you took Everest. You thought you were at the top of the mountain and that the goal was to get it in the bottle. And then you put your pack down, you're exhausted. You spent a whole year getting to this point,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize you're at base camp.
That's funny. That's a good
And
analogy.
everybody looks at you and goes, so when are you going to start hiking? And that's where I'm at right now. So legally, I need a distributor. But what has happened, there's been huge transformation in the distribution section layer of the 3-tier system in the last 5 years, really. So one of them is a company that I am working with called LibDib. And the full name, what that stands for, is Liberation Distribution. So what they do is they are a way for companies and brands of my size to be able to get into the market without a formal distributor contract. It is still 3-tier compliant. It is still 100% legal. But what it does is it puts the onus of shipping and boxing and delivering and actually putting it on a truck to me.
I just realized. Sorry, I just realized right now what I was describing earlier was illegal.
Yeah. It is illegal.
I forgot we were talking about a law here. Yeah,
yep.
My bad. Got it though. There is a workaround.
Well, and I mean,
ish.
That's well, and it's a great workaround for brands that have warehouses and maybe distilleries and things like that are looking for a route to market that probably already have a certain level of local notoriety and brand recognition. It's a great way for them to get out into the market. I am using that as a way to support my online um, portal, so like
Mm-hmm.
direct to consumer. And this is another Steve Ray quote. Is he said the U.S. three-tier system is like an onion. Every layer, it's full of layers, and every layer makes you cry.
uh,
In order, if you go to our website, kachacaspirits.com, plug,
mm,
um, you can sign up to be notified when the online store goes live. And what needs to happen in the next 6 to 8 weeks for that store to go live is I have a company. So I've got LibDib, which is going to act as my second tier person. And I have another company called Speakeasy that is building that front end and will facilitate the relationship with that retailer. So, like a liquor store or something like that. So, and this is like a real behind the scenes, most people don't realize that if they go to a brand's website and are ordering it online, they're not actually ordering it from their warehouse. What's happening is I'm shipping a box or many boxes to maintain inventory using LibDib service. And I'm shipping that inventory through. It never really touches LibDib. They just facilitate it. It passes through LibDib and then ends in the retailer's warehouse or some sort of retail space that Speakeasy manages. And then they hold it until somebody goes into my website, places an order, and then that retailer packages up the bottle and sends it to you. So at every single step, from me to LibDib, LibDib to Speakeasy, and the retailer to you, the end consumer, there are laws and who can sell to whom, and they're all different. So LibDib is they are in several. I can't remember how many. I think it's 10 markets. What people may not realize is the U.S., because of the three-tier system, because of prohibition, the U.S. isn't one giant market. It is actually 52 individual markets, every single one with different laws and regulations. So I'm in Florida, which is kind of an open state. Wine and spirits can be sold. Wine and beer can be sold in grocery stores,
mm-hmm.
and things like that. I come from Massachusetts originally, which is a franchise state, which means that if I were to take my brand into Massachusetts, whichever distributor I choose to go enter that market with, I'm stuck with that one. I can never leave unless I basically sue them for negligence or breach of contract, and those lawsuits almost never succeed. So that's a franchise state, and then you've got states like New Hampshire and Vermont, which are control states, which means that when you sell, if I were to enter New Hampshire, I actually sell my alcohol to the state itself. The state acts as the distributor, and then the state sells it to you, the end consumer.
I think
Are
that's
you
how it
confused?
hears.
Are you confused yet?
Not confused, just every time I talk to someone who's doing something complicated and they're talking about all the laws and the red tape and the everything, and I'm just like, man, why is it got to be so complicated? Somebody
Well,
ruined it
because
for everyone
everybody,
else.
well, because there are, and I understand why they, with prohibition, they did it the way they did. It was really to prevent the racketeering. You
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of the runners and everything like that in the 20s. They wanted to make sure that nobody could monopolize the system, and that's fair. But what they did is they've now made it so there's so many barriers to entry for small brands that it almost becomes cost prohibitive. And of course, at every single one of these tiers, there is somebody with their hand out
Mm-hmm.
asking for margin.
Right.
It's not to go the route that I'm going with LibDib and Speakeasy is their lower margins because it's all technology based and very electronic and automated. So there's fewer hands that have to touch the product at each step. But with a warehouse and a real distributor, their markups are going to be much larger because they pick up your product, it sits in a warehouse. When there's an order, somebody has to go pick it up, put it on a truck. That truck has to be driven by a person to the local bar and delivered and invoiced and the whole shebang.
At what point does it become better to do it that way? Like
I'm
clearly that works.
pursuing I'm pursuing both avenues right now, and it's kind of a I've put myself under a huge amount of pressure because I have cases, I have bottles of alcohol in cases sitting in in my in my bottlers in Fort Lauderdale, waiting for somebody to come pick it up and move it out into the market. I actually have market demand. I know that people want to buy it. I have commitment from bars who want to put it on their happy hour menu. I just need somebody to, and the like I said before, the distributors don't want to pick it up because it is it's a lot of work for them. Rather, they'd much rather sell. Well, the big guys would much rather sell things like Smirnoff vodka or Captain Morgan all day
Mm-hmm.
long because they know that sells. So I'm now reaching that first step of the big Everest journey of actually getting it out into the market and getting that business and that excitement generated.
Have you looked
So you're like
into?
talking to me as I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I mean, you sound like you're handling it. You sound like you're staying sane, trying to get it all done. Hey there. Hope you enjoyed that clip. You can find more clips like this and full video episodes of the Small Stuff Podcast on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to full episodes of the Small Stuff Podcast in audio form wherever it is you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, all the places. Also, follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All the links are in the description. Have a nice day.